Hi, and thanks for volunteering to be a judge at our spring tournament for SSIS Debate Club. We want to end the season with one more event, but given the very many activities going on and the nature of the year that we've had, we're going to keep it low key, as little stress as possible and as fun as possible for the debaters. So I hope that this presentation gives you enough information to feel confident as a judge. We're thankful for your time, and public forum, by definition, is meant to be judged by members of the public. So you don't have to be a debate expert. If you know the format, it'll be easier, but we'll provide you with all the tools that you need to make it a successful experience. So the resolution our debaters are debating in April is the NSDA's April resolution. Resolved, Japan should remove Article 9 of its constitution and develop offensive military capabilities. A bit of background context: after World War II, Japan promised to never, ever again have an offensive military after the atrocities that were committed during World War II. However, the world is changing, and there is some debate about whether Japan should develop more than the defensive force it currently has. Once again, thank you, because we can't make a debate tournament happen without judges. We need a large number of you, and your feedback and participation makes this experience possible for debaters. I will host a short Zoom session for anybody who wants to drop in and ask for clarification at 4 p.m. on Friday, April 22nd. If you feel like you're good to go and you don't need that, then there's no need to attend. We'll let you know when you've been assigned a round. We're not going to use Tab Room this time. You don't need to have a linked account as a judge. Like I said, we want it hassle-free, as few complications as possible. So our tournament is also going to be set up through Zoom, with participants and judges just being put into breakout rooms at the beginning of each round and connecting that way. So if you are a student or a faculty member who is allowed on campus anyway, you can come and be in the physical room. But if you are somebody who's not on campus anyway, we'll ask you to judge from home or whatever location is convenient, and you'll do that through a Zoom breakout room. Things you'll need to set you up for success: a timer for timekeeping, because you might need to let the debaters know if they're out of time for a specific section or keep track of their prep time. Timers on phones work perfectly. You do need to write things down as you hear their arguments. It's important in helping you make a decision. So a notepad and a pen or pencil, just to jot down what you've heard them say, because debates progress pretty quickly. The rounds will auto assign. So when we announce who is up against who, we will also announce which team is pro and which team is con. We're going to try and give teams a balance of rounds pro and con. Although in this little tournament, they're only going to have 2 rounds before the finals. So on Monday afternoon, there's 1 round. On Thursday afternoon, there's a second round. We will let the students know and the judges through an email that goes to everybody: so-and-so versus so-and-so, and which team is pro. To keep things simple, also, sometimes tournaments allow debaters to choose the order. To speed up the time, we're just going to say that pro team speaks first. So there's no need for a coin flip in this tournament. You'll get an email, so will the debaters, and it will tell you who's assigned which position. The timing, and I'll provide this in an email as well, for public forum goes like this. The time guide that I'm attaching to the email has one thing that has been updated by the National Speech and Debate Association. You'll see it says they get 2 minutes of prep time, but actually NSDA has updated that in the last year, and I'm using an old resource because everything else about that resource is fantastic. but teams now get 3 minutes of prep time each, and they can ask you for that at any transition point throughout the round. The basic goals of public forum debate are that the affirmative team or the pro team must prove that the world will get better if we pass the resolution into action. So in this case, if Japan removes Article 9 from its constitution, this is a favorable situation for Japan and for the rest of the world. If we side with the negative, if the negative team wins, they simply have to prove that leaving this alone, keeping status quo, where Japan does not have offensive military capabilities, is better. So they just have to prove that changing things will make it worse. When you are making your judgment, it's important that you don't allow personal biases to interfere with your decision. I understand that most of you know that, but really try and keep that in mind. Keep it to the facts that are presented within the debate, not what else you know about this topic. Whatever they give you is all you're allowed to consider. If they don't provide context on something, that may work against them. Things you should consider are the impacts of their arguments. So, the scope or number of people affected, if Japan does or doesn't have an offensive military, magnitude, the strength of that effect. So, are people just going to be mildly inconvenienced, or is this a matter of life and death? Can it be reversed? What is the likelihood of what they're arguing to actually happen? And how soon will it happen? Is the impact going to be felt immediately or in 100 years? We want to give precedence to immediate effects. After the round, you can take some time to decide, and I'm going to leave this with you. You may or may not announce the winner. Sometimes you need to go and think about it. It might be so close that you really need to check your notes. And you can let them know because we have so few rounds. Sometimes we don't announce the winner because we don't want somebody to be demoralized if they didn't win. But in this case, they're only debating twice. So you can let them know if they won at the end of the round and provide them with a little bit of verbal feedback. There's also going to be a Google form. And for tournament purposes, we require you to fill this in after every round with a little bit more detailed information. And we will share your comments and reason for decision with the relevant debaters after the fact. So they can get those written comments after our little tournament is over. Something in your toolkit that you'll see is a rubric, a scoring rubric. You don't need to worry about assigning things in all of the categories, but the categories give you an idea of what you should consider as you're evaluating this debate. And it's important to note that the points range is quite small. Debaters who score a 25 are really unprepared. It's a very bad score. And 30 is a perfect score. Like, you couldn't think of a better argument yourself. This is one of the best debates you've ever seen. So within that, you can give increments of 0.5, and please don't give two debaters the same score. Generally, the team with the highest points will win, but there are some cases where there are more skillful speakers. However, the argument on the other side is more compelling. So in that case, it's called a low point win. If you're considering it, I'd ask that you contact either myself or Roy and talk it through with us, and it could very well be possible. But typically, the higher points will win. Yeah, so the points range again is 25 to 30. 24 would be somebody was absolutely obscene, offensive, or couldn't speak for more than 30 seconds. You should not be awarding scores of 24 or less unless there's a situation that needs to be reported again to myself or Roy because it was really a disaster. So this is the Google form that I'll be sending out to you, and the information that we'll need you to input, and you might want to just have it in mind as you're keeping notes, are the names of the two debaters on the winning team, your reason for decision, and I'll give you a bit of an example of that in a moment, the points for each debater, and I'll ask that you just put all of their names and the points beside it in this one field. So write their name and the points beside. So for example, let's say we have this Hui and Ken, they're the con team, and by the points it looks like they're the winners. So Hui got 28 points. Ken was a more finessed debater. He got 29. Quinan was slightly stronger than Lisa, and both of those were average debaters. So I've got their points like that. It's just an example, but please name and number in this one field all four debaters. And then the last section is for comments that will go just to the pro team. If there's something privately you would like to share with just one team, then you'll put it in these sections. And below, I just couldn't fit it in my screenshot frame. There's also comments to the con team. If you'd like to put something privately to them, that's a good idea too. Often that's where I'll put my constructive feedback. If it's like, you need to raise your volume, it was hard to hear you. That's something I might not put to the other team to see in this reason for decision, but it's feedback that can help that debater grow. That's optional, but super helpful to our debaters. So if you can think of something for the pro team or con team, please put that in there. Advancement to our final round, which will be on Friday. There'll be one novice final and one varsity final. Will depend on the win-loss record first, and then we'll look at points. And the team with the most wins and the most points will place in the finals. So 2 of our novice teams and 2 of our varsity teams will debate for first and second place. We're not even going to have runoffs for third and fourth, just keeping it as simple as can be. And any participant in the tournament is welcome to spectate either of those rounds. Also will be happening by Zoom. So one of the things I am requiring from judges is a reason for decision. And it's generally a short little paragraph explaining why one team was more persuasive in their argumentation than the other. I've given this example of one. So both teams had strong contentions. However, the pro team convinced me by presenting that this and this and this will improve the status quo. The con team was ready for this. However, the pro team was a little more unique, and their plan would improve the lives of more people or whatever. Going back to those weighing mechanisms, I'm asking for a minimum 50-word reason for a decision, and point to evidence from what you've taken down as notes throughout the debate as you write your reason for decision. This is something I took from one of the external tournaments that we've participated in, and I think it sums up the role of a judge very nicely. Your role, in a nutshell, is to choose a winner of the round based on what you hear in the round and keep your opinions from outside as much as possible out of it. Also, if a team doesn't respond to an opponent's argument, then they've conceded the argument. So if the pro team makes a claim or provides you with a contention that the con team completely ignores, even if the claim is not super solid, you have to let it stand and be another factor that's convincing you. Awarding speaker points is your second important role. So each team in the round gets points for each speaker from 25 to 30, and half-point increments are allowed. So 25.5, 28.5, that's all okay. Discuss low point wins. and then providing written feedback on the ballot. And we're not using Tabroom to keep it simple. Your ballot is that Google form that I have sent out. We will try to allow up to 10 minutes of tech time for debaters to sort things out if they're having technical difficulties. Again, using Zoom is one of the strategies I'm using to try to mitigate this. Um, we're not going to pay for NSDA campus rooms. We don't have enough rounds going to make that worthwhile. Zoom breakout rooms, so I should be able to assist you if there are any tech issues. That's my email and Roy's email. He'll be on standby as a tech supporter just in case I need to judge. But there's a few things we can do. They can try a different way to connect. I think we won't need that, or we'll make a decision as a group. Or if at the worst case scenario, then we cancel that round. Sometimes you may need one debater to stand in for both. If one is having technical issues, encourage them to be creative, join from their phone, do whatever they need to do. Prep time and evidence exchange. I've already mentioned that each team gets 3 minutes of prep time throughout the debate. And they can either take running prep and then you just use the stopwatch function. If they exceed their 3-minute allotment, then you just say, I'm sorry, you don't have any more prep time. Or they can ask you for specific amounts. Like, I'd like 40 seconds of prep time, and that's okay. Especially with our varsity debaters, they should be asking to see each other's debate cards. So they should be requesting evidence exchanged. So they can use the chat function within Zoom and share links to their sources. That's something that doesn't count as running prep time, but in my judging paradigm, I say I don't want students just to ask for evidence at all times. They have to have a purpose for it, because otherwise this can really prolong the debate and waste time. They don't have time to read all of the sources of each other's. However, they can ask for evidence, and as long as they're just glancing at it and it's not dragging the debate on seemingly purposelessly, you let them do that. And I think that's all. So if you still have questions, you can shoot me an email, or I'll be available Friday, April 22nd at 4 p.m. and I'll wait around for 15 minutes or for as long as people have questions for me. I'll send you a calendar invite with how to connect to that Zoom, and it's optional. But if you have questions, that's when I am able to answer those for you, or anytime by email. All right. Thank you very, very much for your time. Debate Club appreciates it immensely.